Hi everyone, this is Kelly from The Truth in Story, and I'm here for another sort of introduction to a class that I'm getting ready to teach on starting on November 10th. It's a 4 weeks rune class that I'm going to be teaching on Saturdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll put a link to the class below. This will be my last class of the year. One of my goals for 2018 was to get through a full year cycle of the classes that I wanted to teach. Very exciting for me to have gotten this far. So this is sort of the last class of the year. And so as with my other classes, I do like to do a quick intro for people that are signing up, as well as for, other people do find it interesting even though they're not taking the class, because I'm kind of talking a little bit about resources for decks and or making your own and those kinds of things. So I just put them open on the channel. So the one reason I wanted to get today's this one up today is that if you live in the United States and you're near a Books-A-Million and or I don't know if they're clearanced on the site or not, but if you're near a Books-A-Million, my Books-A-Million, which is a little bit of a drive for me, I don't go there all the time because it's actually a good drive for me to do so, but they had this box set of runes, Runes, Oracle Advice and Self-Help by Guy Ogilvy. It's an AGM box set, Library of Oracles, and you get a book with it, which I can't really review because I really didn't get it for the book, but I'll add it to my pile of things that resources to look into. But they do have a set of wooden runes that are birch. I believe it says birch. That might have been the other set. There were two sets that were there. But anyways, this is on clearance. And no, it just has 24 traditional runes. So it must have been the other one that was birch. Anyways, it has a set of wood runes. So if you're looking for a set of wood runes and what looks to be on first glance to be a decent, beginner's book, which is nice to have. These were on clearance for $15. And they had quite a few of them at my Books-A-Million. So if you have a Books-A-Million, you might want to check that out. Now, they may be just as cheap on Amazon, but I thought I'd put that out there. The other thing is to give people time to order it. This is actually a, I think you can only get it at Books-A-Million, although I thought I saw somewhere that you could get it on the UK Amazon as well, but I haven't checked that, so you have to check and see. I actually really like this little deck. In fact, I already have it, so this is why I went to Books-A-Million. So you can see I already have this little deck and I've used it a lot. It sits on in my side table, but I've also moved it around. And you can see that I actually lost one. And so I kind of made a card to stick in there. But that kind of stuff, I will admit, annoys me. I actually forgot I had done that. I just remembered when I went to go do this, I remembered that I had was missing a card or two of them. But I actually really like this deck because it has a very clear, it's not anything beautiful. It's really made a little bit more for learning the runes, but I find it really nice if you just don't want to have to think it through too much. You've got the title, you've got this very clear image of the rune, you have the translation, what does it actually mean, you have earthly and spiritual keywords to kind of help get you going. You also have color correlations at the top. So I actually find this to be a nice little, it's not great cardstock, but it's held up. I mean, I do shuffle. I've had this for a couple years, I feel, at least 2. Maybe not. I'm bad with I'm bad with dates, but I'm pretty sure I've had it probably 2 years. So it's held up pretty well to me give, I'm a riffle shuffler, so it takes a beating. Now it does have the weird card in here. I don't actually read with the weird card. I just had found all the cards for it and stuck it in there. I did learn to read runes with the blank rune. That is a modern addition. That's how I learned to read back when I was in my 20s, but I don't currently read with that because, again, it's an additional modern thing that was put on, and I think that everything that you need, the essence of weird, in my opinion, is in all of the other of the runes. So that's kind of how, but that's a discussion for another day. My point is that it does have it if that's something that you do like to use. If you don't, you just take it out. So, anyways, I think you can get these on Books A Million website for $10, and I think in store, if you don't have a coupon, they're $15, which is still pretty cheap for a nice little learning deck, I think. It also comes with a book. I can't remember if this slides out or not. I'll probably take my other one and rip it off of here because that kind of stuff bugs me. If a bookmaker's going to do this, I would like the book to be able to slide out. But it does have a nice little pretty guidebook with some gorgeous images. I'm not saying that this is maybe your best resource for the meanings, but it's a nice little beginner set. But mostly what I like about it is just this for kind of flashcardy learning, just getting your runes on the table when you don't really know them all that well and you just want to put them on the table and get a basic idea of what they mean. This is a nice little set, so I did want to give people time to order that. Again, from Books A Million's website, it's $10. In the store, it was $15, excuse me, without a coupon. But I have heard of other people finding this. It's not on the U.S. Amazon, but I have heard of other people saying something about the UK Amazon. So that's something to check into. So this is a set that again comes with a book. I will do a review of this later. I haven't read the book yet to be able to read it, but one of the things I did really like about this was that it does have, there's different poems that give us insight into what the runes do mean, and one of the things I really like is that they have provided that, so you get 3 different versions of from different manuscripts of what we have to sort of base what these might have to do with, and they give that to you right there. So that is a big plus. And sometimes it doesn't have it in 3, so this one just has it in 1. But that gives you a chance, right, to know what does it mean, the word mean, what is the poetic sources of manuscripts that we have to be able to start to build a meaning off of. And then, of course, it goes into more of a detailed meaning here with a mundane, esoteric, and reverse. So far what I have skimmed through, I'm like, oh, this actually looks pretty good, and you are able to then start to make your own decision based on what it means and what those poetic manuscript translations are. And so that gives you a chance to then, when you're reading the rest of it and looking at some of the keywords, does that resonate with you in terms of the meaning of the letter as well as the poetic information that we have. So that's a plus to me. Again, I'm not reviewing this because I haven't read through it yet, but they did have it on clearance with a set of wooden runes, which I quite like, because they are nice and clear. What they are, you can see them very clearly, with the exception of mine on this one is a little bit chewed up, and that's got much thinner lines than the rest, so I wish that was a thicker lineage, but otherwise I think they stand out very nicely, which is great when you're doing reading. So for $15 for a wood set with a guidebook, I thought that was a good deal, and it was something that I wanted to be able to review to tell people whether or not I found that to be a useful set or not. So that's something to look at. Either way, I think $15 for the wood runes is a good way, a cheap way to get into runes if you're just starting to learn. This was actually my very first set of runes. I couldn't find them anywhere. like anywhere. Here's, see, this is a weird stone. You know, as I said, I grew up. I learned to read runes using the weird stone because it's a common in the information that I had, which wasn't a lot. It was like a cheat sheet that I think actually came with the stones. I've actually still seen it online, so I'll have to print it out and see what it says compared to how I read runes now. But that is how I learned to read with that until I realized, you know, it's sort of a modern edition. So I really love these, but I have to say that just because I've had them forever, but I don't use them because, as you can see, the coloration then with the, I think like a pale gold coloration here combined with my bad eyesight, it's just, I mean, yes, I can find it and see what it is, but it doesn't pop out to me what it is. I have to sometimes look very closely because of the color of the crystal along with the etching, the color that they filled the etching in with. It's just not always easy for me to see. And the older I've gotten, because I got in my 20s and I am 50, so the older I've gotten, it's just gotten harder to read them, and so I don't use them. But of course, it's a set I will always keep because it was my very first rune set. And so yeah, so that's that. So you can get these all over the place. You can even get them on Amazon, and they're really not all that expensive to get. I would say certainly in the $15 price range. $10 to $15 actually in the US. You can probably get a set of this type of crystal, tumbled crystal with the kind of etched in thing, which I like in terms of using. I actually really like these, so I need to get a darker set. I think I'd probably like to get a set in obsidian or something dark like that. So I do like using the tumbled stones for it, but again, as I said, it's this just set, I can't read it. But I will be keeping it because it's my very first set. This is a beautiful deck that I traded for. This is the Heindel Rune Oracle. So this is by the same artist, that Herman Heindel, that created the Heindel Tarot. Now I have these, I think, split off. I think that I can't remember. No, those might not have been on purpose. But I believe he pulls from various sources. I'll have to go back through this now that I'm I've gone through this already, but I'll have to go back through this. But he pulls from, I want to say, some of the younger Futhark, as well as the, I don't even know if it's the full Elder Futhark in here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So more than, I think the younger is considered 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So then we have these here. I forgot these. There's something about this that I think he pulls, some of the symbols are from the younger and some are from the older. I can't remember. I will have to do a walkthrough of this. But I did just want to show it because it's beautiful. And I was so excited to get this. It's out of print, so you can't, it's not something that you can get very easily, so I'm really happy to have it. I love how he went about, using things in paintings that looks like what the rune is. So I love that. I think that's beautiful. So I was really excited about this, but in terms of using it, there are some differences here to how I read with just the Elder Futhark, and so it's not a deck that I actually use, but I do love having it in my collection. So that's that. I think I have a video on how to make these. These are just made with Sculpey clay. So you can get Sculpey clay, kind of roll it out, and this was the kind I think you have to bake. Yeah. Sculpt it out, draw your rune into it, bake them, and then you have these nice kind of plastic feeling runes, and it's a nice size. I use like a cookie cutter, a craft cookie cutter that was this nice size oval. I think I tried a smaller one and I didn't like it as much for having to try to write it out. So that is a very cheap way. I think I used 2 packs of Sculpey, but I can't remember. But again, I do think I have a video on this. So that is a DIY way to make yourself a set of runes. The other things that you can do in terms of making a set of runes, this is a set I just made and I love it. So these were just little wooden buttons that I got at the craft store. So they're not buttons, they don't have holes in them, but they're just these little round wooden pieces. And I stamped 2 little acorns on the back, and then I just wrote on there with I think it was a pure ink marker. I can't remember what I used for it, but it was a brush marker perhaps, that I just wrote on the rune, and it makes a cute, nice little sized set of runes. This altogether cost me, I believe, $9 because I did have to get 3 packs, so I think were $2.99, but then they were also 20% off. So it was like $9, you know, minus 20% off. Plus, I already had this little stamp here, but you don't even have to put that. It could just be plain wood on the back. But I quite like these, actually. These make me very happy and sit on my reading table. So that is a very, you know, again, cheap way to make a set of runes. Now, this is an OM, but I did want to show that you can get like popsicle sticks. So in the US, you can get these in a lot of different sizes. I really like this little short, fat size that I found. And again, maybe like $2.99 for a bag of these. And I stamped a tree on one side. The nice thing about this size is that you could put in the name. I put in the name of this is the OM. I put in the literal translation, and then I put my keywords on the bottom so that you have something similar. Here. You have something similar to this in that you've got your name, you've got your literal translation, and you've got your whatever your main keywords that you're using. And so this is something that is a great way, again, if you are learning the keywords and you want to have something to reference, it's just right there. You can do your reading. You don't have to sort of look things up or anything like that. And it's a great way to work with casting the staves, because you can't really cast with cards. So it's a really cheap way to still have access to your keywords, but have it in a format that you are able to cast. So this is also a really cheap DIY way that you could make a set of runes or OMs if you wanted to do so. So I did want to point that out. And the other thing is you can simply get some cardstock, right? And either print the runes on here with some of your keywords, whatever information you want, cut them out, corner around them, and they're good to go. They may not, last forever in terms of shuffling. The other thing that you can do is that you can get blank playing cards. Those are fantastic because they're very durable, so that you can use a permanent marker, write the name, write the rune, write the translation, write a couple keywords on there, and bam, you've got you've got enough to mess up because there's 56 and there are 24 runes. So blank playing card stock is a great way to make up sort of decks that you can use as you're getting to know the system to give you some more information. And they're much more durable than these in that they are that nice bicycle like playing card stock. You can get those on Amazon. I haven't seen them in person. I think one time I saw them in person in a toy store, but for the most part the ones that I've gotten I've ordered on Amazon. So that's another option to have, but again, you can't really cast with cards. So I think something like this or something like this or something like this is great because you can cast. But in terms of wanting keywords on, this is, again, a great size to still be able to put keywords on and to be able to actually cast, but have your keywords in place. So there are definitely options. I know that sometimes we feel like it's going to cost a lot of money to get started working with runes or oghams or something of that nature, but there are ways to do it that don't cost. So this one, it was on clearance. Originally this was 20, I think. So this was 15. This is out of print. This was 15, but you can get it for 10. These probably cost me maybe about $6, certainly under $10 to make. This cost me under $10 to make for sure, because it was $9 plus 20% off. So those made, and I really like these. These make me happy. They're like little rune buttons. So I really love these. These were probably under $5 to be able to make. So if you're interested in a system, but you're like, and even these, like I said, you can find these stone sets between $10 and $15. So it's cheaper than a deck of tarot cards for sure, as a general rule. Now, can you get really expensive, beautiful ones as well? Yes, you definitely can. I'm sure they're all over Etsy to get some really gorgeous sets that are more like the equivalent of having the different woods and things of that nature. So there are beautiful sets that are out there that I'm sure cost more, but you can get into working with something like runes or oghams that is a casting system relatively cheaply, right? Because there's actually not a lot of rune decks out there, especially not a lot that I actually would recommend for sure. And in the end, I think what you're going to want is a casting set, because that is what these are meant to do. They're meant to be cast, and that is, you can't really cast with rune decks. So can you use a rune deck? Yes. If you have a rune deck you love, obviously I'm not saying that that is a bad or wrong way to do it, but if you're going to work a lot with runes, I think having something that you can cast is the key. That is what the system is for. So and you can do it pretty cheaply. So there you have it. I'm going to stop rambling. I was trying to keep this around 15 minutes of just give some suggestions on how you can get a set of runes that really isn't going to cost all that much. So one thing I will say is this set does not have the blank rune. So this does not have a blank or weird rune. It has the 24 Elder Futhark. And so you aren't going to get that. If that's something that it's important to you, then this set may not be the one for you. So I forgot to mention that. So there we go. Okay, I'm going to stop babbling and wish you all a wonderful day, and I will see you all soon.